I'm going to start us putting us on workbook or on Facebook.
Is everybody online at the same time, or it's just recorded for them to go back to?
No, it'll be live and then it'll be recorded. Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are on the SWO Off-Rez organization page. My name is Shannon White, and today Heipa District had their monthly meeting. They've actually been one of the few districts that meets pretty regularly, and Heipa District has a new councilwoman, Gypsy Wanna, Brandon Gypsy Wanna. So today she wanted to appear on our page to give all the Heipa District members her report so that everybody knows what's going on. Gypsy, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for letting me give my report. So do I just get to start
Yep.
going away in here?
Go right ahead.
Okay, so actually this is our first regular district meeting we've had. I think we had a short one in December, but this is my first meeting at the district as councilwoman. So so it was really exciting trying to put together this report. There's a lot of stuff to go over. So the first thing I presented today was about the Dakota Crossing grocery store. I know prior to the most recent election that grocery store was always a big issue. There were so many concerns and questions over it and stuff. And yeah, there is a lot of loss going on there. But being how this is, since the new council took over and the vice chair, they did a walkthrough of the building to look at all the things that could be wrong, because apparently the vice chair and the chairman had both been getting complaints from employees at the store that there was stealing going on. You know, I don't know if it was food, and I'm not sure about the till money or anything like that. But when they went there, they found out that there was a lot of issues that could be easily fixed that would help address some of it. And one of them was the accountant's office was open all the time because they didn't have a key. So they recommended that the interim general manager change the locks, which they did. The end of shift closeout procedures for the tills, they weren't doing that. What they call a Z out the till at the end of each shift, they weren't doing that. So when they closed out their tills, they had no idea how many sales were from each shift. Apparently, every cashier had access to the safe. The back door to the building was left open or not locked. So anybody could walk in or out and take anything, you wouldn't know. There was there was footage of an employee that removed meat produce from the freezer when they left. And so when he went back to review the footage was deleted, it was gone. So the security of that was not, it was in there, anybody could delete any of that footage. So it was useless to have the surveillance system at that point. And then like I said, all the people had too many people had access to that safe. But the vice chairman addressed all of those things. So the surveillance system, the recording stuff, that's been in a locked, secured office. And just only the applicable person would have access to that. They changed the locks to the building. That office where the accounting office is, they changed the locks on there. Only certain people have access to the safe, and they've implemented procedures for the closing out their tills at the end of each shift and who does the drop. And they have two people that do their cash drop and deposit. So there's always some type of verification. So the point is, it was in bad shape, and there was a lot of mismanagement and things going wrong. And then when we took office, not right on the 5th, but shortly after we took office, the chairman had sent out a text message to all of us, asking what we wanted to do with the store, because he again mentioned how many complaints there were and employees were concerned about it and stuff. So, and this was an ongoing thing from the previous council too, to do something about the store. So they hired Steve Gunn, he's a lawyer. He was hired to help find a company that would help manage the store or whatever. And who he found was this company called RF Bowie. And he looked at the store and he was interested. You know, he came and visited the store apparently and looked at our competition and thought, yeah, maybe something could work, but he needed to have some more information and wanted to look at our financials. Excuse me. So we had a non-disclosure agreement with him, and this is how bad the store was. We didn't have financials. Remember how many times we were trying to get the financials? There was basically like no financials to get. They did what they could and pretty much had to just build everything just from our bank statements. And I don't know why there's no accounting system at the store. I don't know where anything was. It's unbelievable. And I mean, for it to continue like that is just ridiculous. But anyways,
Gypsy, can I just
whatever finance, go ahead.
So were there just no policies in place? Or, I mean, did we start off with no policies and nobody built any, or what?
Well, that's a good question. And I can't say, I don't know. But at this point, I guess there's nothing there. I mean, yeah, and if there was the till stuff, if they had policies, they're gone now. If they had policies, we can't find them. So right now, the vice chair was implementing some of those things. But I do know, and we can't continue operating that store the way it is now. I mean, it's just losing money, the one thing. The tribe hasn't been putting money in it. Apparently, they've been operating just on the tax revenue or the taxes that's there. So those taxes to the tribe aren't being paid. But anyways, this company comes in, RF Bowie, and he's interested in it and sees that it has a lot of potential. The building's very nice. Obviously, it's still new. And he does have businesses on other reservations. He's a 4th generation grocer. So they've been in business since 1905. He has the store in Pine Ridge, the store at Owacoma, and Mission and Wagner. And they have those. So, and we got together whatever financials we could, was basically just our sales. We don't have the gross, we don't have the expenses or the net income stuff. All we could go by was the gross sales, because we never did get a complete inventory of the store. And when they were doing stuff, instead of reporting they were basing the sales off of net, or no, off the retail price instead of the cost of us. So a lot of, I mean, I don't know, it's really messed up. But based on our gross sales, he thinks he could do something good with it. And so when they presented this information to council, we thought, yeah, that sounds good, go for it, and start negotiating and see what further can come along once he could get those financials with the non-disclosure agreement. And it looks like it could go forward. He's really interested, and then we started being interested, and we'll drop a draft contract so we can see exactly what we're looking at besides, generalizing. So part of that, excuse me, sorry. Part of the deal would be that he would buy out our current inventory, and that was going to be around, I think it was around 200,000. He would pay the tribe rent about 165,000, I believe, a year. And if we could get this going, we'd be getting a full year's rent for this first year, even though it's already going to be March. So we'd be getting a little bit out of that. We would for gross sales over 5.5 million, we'd get 3% of those sales. That would be what we'd get. I do believe the gasoline sales don't count for that because he does something else with those. He gives, I don't know how that works, but that excludes the gasoline and, but it's all the inside purchases, the store and whatever. And then when the tribe, everything that the tribe purchases at the store, we get a 5% of those sales back. And I guess the layman's term, or the term for us guys out here that aren't business, it'd be called, I mean, you could see it as a rebate, 5%, kind of like a rebate. So any sales that the tribe does, we'd get 5% of those back. All the current employees will be hired at their position. All they have to do is text RF Bowie or write it on a piece of paper, because everybody has his phone number, and say, I want to continue working. And they get to keep their job at their current salary and their years of employment already. Keep all of that. And part of their benefits includes a 401k. They match up to 4%. They have a scholarship program for high school seniors. They offer employee incentives. They're obviously going to have that training program, and there's raises and opportunities to move up in the company. And then on your birthdays, if you're full-time, you get the day off on your birthday. And if you only part-time, you get a half a day off. And if you don't want it out exactly on your birthday, he said you can take it off on another day. And then depending on how many years you've worked, 1, 2, or 3 years, you get a vacation time of 1, 2, or 3 weeks. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was just like, that was pretty interesting, I thought. And the store, it is really huge for a grocery store. He was saying we could do 2 to 3 times more volume, like we could be stuck, but so there might be an opportunity or something else to sell other things in that store besides groceries, like, I don't know, maybe tools, maybe clothes, I don't know, but that's up to him and ideas and stuff like that. He does have an app. They have an app, and you can do online shopping, and they could do deliveries for the rural areas. So you could shop online, and what they would do is set up a location where they could deliver groceries to, and you would just have to go to that. So if you had to go all the way up to Beverly, they could be a designated spot and get your groceries there. So that was pretty cool, I thought. And then they can work with us on our elder food cards to refill them. Instead of having, remember how right now they go through and buy all of them every month? These ones could be refillable. They'd be able to do something to refill the cards so they wouldn't have to be redistributed every time. It'd be automatic. Oh, and he could do, and if you have, a lot of people don't have the smartphones yet, and so they can't do an app, especially the elders. They'll have a thing set up right in the store so they can get the coupon and stuff like that right from the store. They'll have it all there for them. So even people without smartphones can still get those. And then he's looking at bringing in like something like Western Union or something, because we have nothing like that. What does he call it? A MoneyGram type service. He's done that at his other stores. So that's something he'd be looking at possibly bringing in for us here, you know, and just doing more things. And then we were talking today at the district center. He came to our meeting today, by the way, which was amazing. I don't know how, whatever. I got a text message and said he was on his way up if we wanted to talk with him. So, okay. So he showed up at our meeting and he came in and he answered some questions. And Alan LaBelle asked about the buffalo. And when you're out and about in the community, buffalo is so expensive. But he said, if you guys, we have our buffalo farm and whatever. He said, if we had our buffalo and we could sell it, he could obviously sell it cheaper than other grocery retailers out there, because they're like around $10 a pound, but we'd be able to sell it for less, hopefully. And then he said if we could, even the cigarettes, even the native brand cigarettes, he would purchase these stuff and sell them at his other grocery stores, which I thought was pretty amazing. But that's all to become out there. There was a lot of misinformation about that store and about the contract. There was rumors going around that contract was signed. Rumors about, I don't know, whatever it was all wrong. I already told you the stuff that was about stuff being stolen, the cameras, and mismanagement, all that stuff, and the vice chair's done what she could to address it. But as far as turning that business around and making us money, the getting this contract with RFUE, I think would really be a good thing. And then our district ended up voting to approve it, especially since we're guaranteed the rent every year. We're going to start getting some income along with our sales tax being paid to the tribe versus not. And yeah, so that's that with the score.
Let me ask some questions. We got
Okay.
some district members that submitted some questions, so I want to make sure we get to them. The first one is how much, we already discovered you already discussed how much the lease payment was. So when will they start making lease payments, and is the lease payment less than the loan payment the tribe has to pay?
It's a with the lease with for this year with the buyout of the inventory, that's supposed to cover this year's thing, and then with the next one, it's supposed to cover it with it's supposed to be enough, because we did get the financial review from Red W, whichever financial auditing company that is. But yeah, they're supposed to have enough to cover the loan payment.
Okay, and then when will they start sharing profit with the tribe?
Well, that would be the next year then, 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, 3% of the sales over gross sales over 5.5 million.
Okay, and then how long is the lease for?
For 5 years, and we have the option to renew that if we want, and the whole thing could be renegotiated.
Yeah, because I think that's kind of one of the concerns is, or one of the misconceptions that's really out there is that I keep hearing people saying, oh, this is infringement on our sovereignty. I think probably the biggest one that I hear.
Yeah. So he's leasing it, and we're still keeping Dakota Crossing. He's saying it's Bowie Foods at Dakota Crossing. Something like that. So we don't have to change our signage and stuff. And he said, so that way that it's still ours and it's still our grocery store, kind of thing like that. But he'll be in charge of the operations, hiring, firing, training, all of that stuff. They'll be in charge of all that.
Okay.
And we get a percentage of the profits. Next.
Yeah.
More. All right, so we had gone to Flandreau this past week. We wanted to do a planning prioritization of things to accomplish. But anyway, we went down, we visited Flandreau's cannabis facility where they're growing all the weed and stuff. It's pretty neat, I think. How's that with the state of South Dakota? We passed that. The voters said yes, legalize marijuana. Then the governor is challenging it. So I don't know what's up with that, but Flandreau has started growing marijuana, and they're making a bunch of CBD products and selling a lot of that. And they're selling whatever the joints are, they're under that 0.03. So supposedly that's the legal one or something. I don't know. But some of the people around here on the res, some of them want to have cannabis, have us guys grow cannabis. But if we were to do that, we have to get a big old building and stuff, and we'd have to address all of our laws. So, I mean, if that's something that the tribe ends up doing, we got to make sure we do it right. And first, that would be getting the laws governing how we're going to decriminalize and regulate the use of marijuana. But they also brought up how they sell the native brand cigarettes. See, with the tax, and see, I did not know this. I didn't know much about the tax laws and stuff with the tribe, with the casino and the state. So it turns out with the gaming, the food and beverage and stuff from the casinos, we don't have to pay any of those taxes to the state. We don't have to pay any of those, but somehow we pay the state 23% and we get 77%. And so it's time to renegotiate our tax agreement. And so we're trying to fight to make it sure that we get 100% of that. And then also if we could sell more of the native brand cigarettes, the state don't get those taxes either. So that was something they gave us a tour of their stamping facility, because it says the state, you have to have a state stamp to sell cigarettes. And if you have the native brand cigarettes and you have your own stamp, you definitely don't get taxed by the state, and we can get to keep all that tax revenue ourselves. So that's an option to be looking into in the tax department, and legal, they're looking into all that. And hopefully that will go forward. Then we had the hemp feasibility study that's still going. I don't know how many people remember hearing that. The tribe had gotten a grant to do a 3-year hemp feasibility study, and they did it. I thought it was pretty promising. I thought it was interesting. They started out that first year with 3 acres, and then the following year they jumped up to 40 acres, and they harvested it. They had it corded, whatever, for their materials, and we're supposed to be getting some paper cups. They're not paper cups, but whatever the cups are, made out of the hemp product. Because this is the fiber hemp we have. It would be good to be making those types of products, compostable garbage bags, clothing, even some replacing some hard plastics too. So that's something we could go forward. And then Charlene Miller was at this meeting too, and she was telling me about this co-op with all the other tribes that was ready to go. But of course, everything gets all political, and then this stuff fell on the wayside. And so I was like, damn, so we keep losing all this politics. We keep losing out and missing the boat on all of these opportunities. I mean, we lost out on the solar power how many years ago? So anyway, the hemp thing is something to look forward to and going on to. And I guess Dakota Western has experimented with some of that hemp and putting it into garbage bags. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And that was why they went with the fiber route, because at the time, hemp wasn't legal in South Dakota, but now it is, as long as it's under 0.03. So, THC.
I remember Dakota Western coming to council several times talking about how they were developing their hemp bag. Did they finally get a prototype?
I don't know. I'll have to ask, because I mean, I don't know if they did or not, but I just know that they were working on it.
Yeah,
I'll have to double check and ask.
I was
and
really
then
interested in that progress.
Yeah, and so Charlene, I know, was really excited because there's a lot of companies out there that want, and if we could grow organic hemp, there's so many places that want organic hemp, and then the stuff from natives. So there's a lot of native products that people want. And if we could work with this co-op, so we won't have to put the bill on everything, because the way that hemp has to be processed. If we had other tribes that could go in on this with us, because they all have different parts they can offer to this. Because we have the bake factory, and if they wanted that, we could do that part. And one of them, she said somebody has a railway system goes right through their town, through their res. So I'm like, well, so that was one of these things about co-oping or partnering with the other tribes as far as the hemp stuff goes. So that's just all talking and going ideas and stuff. And I thought those were good. The food pantry that they built is open. I mean, that's operating. I think you knew that too, Shannon. That's done already. The daycare is supposed to be open by March 1st. And the COVID unit, we get the keys February 23rd. And planning department, Crystal Owen was going around with invitation cards, I guess, doing something about that. So anyway, that's a very nice facility. And once the pandemic is over and clear, I would really like to see that as a, what do they call it? A re-entry program for the inmates, for the prisoners, because they got nowhere to go and stuff. That place would be like perfect for it. As well, and there's a part of it too that could be a treatment center too, halfway house or however that's worked. So anyway, and then these guys are all off-res, so I don't know about local IHS issues, but there's a lot of complaints there, a lot of racism, discrimination, and so I addressed that with the IHS headquarters, and so there's supposed to be an investigation going into that, and hopefully that'll get addressed. But I know we got to think up some other ways of how to manage that facility, because system-wide IHS is just plain old broke. At least the area of our area is. I don't know how other areas are, but we're just totally screwed up here. Let me see. Then the separation of powers. They always have that issue. One of the council reps brought a resolution presented a resolution to council to suspend all the tribal laws pertaining to truancy. And that's not right. We're not supposed to do that. We don't have the authority to do that. I argued against it, but she made the motion and she had her person who was going to second it lined up right away. So they made that motion and it passed. I didn't agree with it. I voted no on it because we don't have that authority. And then after it passed, all hell broke loose with tribal court and council and chairman and whatever. And we ended up going back into session and rescinding that resolution. The reason it was such a big deal is because the council person who presented that resolution was due in court the next day for truancy for her children. They had truancy issues. Totally wrong and abuse. And she had asked one of the in-house attorneys to draft that resolution for her, which isn't right either because you're not supposed to be using in-house attorneys for your personal use. So a lot of people were pissed off about that. So was I. Totally wasn't right. Anyway.
That's pretty serious.
That was that was the majority of the stuff.
Okay, great. So we had one more question that was one person wanted to know if we had any say in the actions of the booty guy, like when he's running the store.
Oh, like if something. Well, no, he would be leasing it, so he'd be like he's leasing it, so he's managing it. So the employees there would be his employees. They'd be buoy employees.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yep. Okay, yeah. Great. Well, we don't have any other questions. Okay. So, thank you so much for the update. I'm sure your membership really appreciates it. I know that anytime we have people, our leadership willing to come and communicate with our Off-Rez membership, we really appreciate that. Okay. So thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you. Okay, what do I do now?
Nothing. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Okay.